Hello and welcome to the 9th in this series of Right Connect how-to tutorial videos. My name is Guy Rounce and I'll be taking you through this week's subject, which will deal with model views and some of the more advanced features of this extremely useful tool in deep exploration. Now, model views have been covered and featured in several previous tutorials in this series, so people who are following this series should be quite familiar with the concept of model views. As a quick recap on this, you can see here on the screen a model in deep exploration with some previously saved model views. As you can see here, model views allow me to save the model in various orientations or with different render modes, with different components visible or hidden, and with different notes and annotations visible to convey information to other people looking at these views. So all we are going to need in this tutorial regarding toolbars and panels is the Model Views panel, which you can see here on the right hand side. And the subject I'm going to use for this tutorial is this very simple model of an aftershave bottle. Firstly, let's look at the options along the top of this panel. We have some existing model views, and if I want to add another view, then I can simply hit the icon with a plus and the view is created. Now, whatever orientation or state that the viewport is in will then be captured as a snapshot or model view. Next is delete, so by highlighting this model view and selecting this icon, then I can simply delete it. The next icon allows you to toggle between a list of the current model views and being able to display thumbnails of your collection of model views. And you can activate a model view by either using this next icon and have the model view highlighted, or more simply, you can just double click on each view to activate it. The next two icons are linked. The far one is called Store Object Positions. This icon is actually off by default, but if you turn it on, it means that you can move components around the viewport to different positions and orientations, and when you then create a new model view, these positions are remembered. Then, different positions can be reverted back to either by activating other model views, or you can simply use the previous icon, which is Restore Position. By using this icon, you can create multiple exploded views in either a single or multiple portfolios. If you would like some further information on this workflow, you can refer to the tutorial in this series called Technical Illustrations. So those are the basic tools for use regarding model views. However, there are several other menus that we can access to work with model views. Firstly, if I right-click on the name of the portfolio, I have options to do with this particular portfolio, for example renaming or deleting, or creating another portfolio altogether. Secondly, if I right click on an individual model view, I get a different menu, and this one deals specifically with this model view. If I work my way down this list, you can see in this menu I can sort the views into a different order other than the order in which they were created. And the following four options deal with updating this model view. The third option in the list, Update Model View, is actually the most commonly used, as it will update the view with any changes made to the viewport, whereas the others will only update specific things such as display mode or component visibility. For example, if I change the viewport to bounding box display and move the orientation of the model and then select Update Model View, you can see the thumbnail updates with the new information. In this menu I have a second option for both activating and deleting the model view, and also the option of taking this particular view and adding it to a completely new portfolio, as you can see here. This is helpful in a situation in which you want the same view featured in multiple portfolios, potentially for multiple different documents. These next three options deal with rendering the specific model view in either raster, vector or video formats. And all of these have been covered in previous tutorials and should be quite self-explanatory. And then finally, we have the properties of this particular view. Now, this menu contains a lot more information and a lot more features to help you capture more information in this model view. On the first tab, you can see that you can change the name of this view to something more suitable other than View 1 or View 2. Here you can also specify a description of the model view that you are seeing, or some technical information about what's on the screen when this view is activated. Here I'll put some information about this particular product. We will see shortly how this description actually features in two different areas of the model view. And you can also load in previously written text through the open file icon here, which could be really helpful to you if you have very long or detailed instructions that you want to add and have them already typed out in another document. The metadata option I will deal with later. As you can see, it has its own tab in this dialog box. Now the second tab here is called Advanced, and I'll go through all of these options which can really help with the aesthetics of your model view. Firstly, there is the Fly To option. If you check this box, you can specify how long the system will take to fly to the orientation that you've already specified in this view. So for this one, I'll make it quite long, 5 seconds, so we can make a good comparison compared to the other views that we've created. If you want to specify a pause, either at the beginning or the end of the Fly To orientation, then you can do that by putting a value in either of these two areas. Now this is one of the two areas I mentioned the description on the previous tab can be used. By using this drop-down menu, I can specify that the previously written description comes up at the bottom of the screen like subtitles. Now there are options here for when that description should appear and disappear. So for this one I'll choose the Fly To and Whole View, and additionally I'll check this visible box, which means that this description will stay on the screen until another view is activated. The camera navigation mode specifies what navigation mode the user can use once the view has been activated. So for example, I'll specify zoom for this one, and what we'll see is when I activate the view, compared to the other ones, I will have the zoom function already activated for me. At the bottom of this dialog box, we have the ability to specify different background colors which are specific to this particular model view, and also to link some media such as video clips or other steps created in Deep Exploration, which will then play when this model view is activated. The next tab is the regular output size dialog box, which can be used when rendering this model view to one of the options I mentioned earlier on, such as raster, vector or video. So let's just take a look at the changes that we've made to this particular model view. Firstly, you can see that our description has come up under the thumbnail there, and this is the second area that I mentioned you would see that description. I'll activate another view to make a comparison, and you can see that this one is very quick to orientate into position. And now our view that we've just created takes a full 5 seconds to orientate, and the description comes up at the bottom of the screen and the background color changes. And then additionally, you can see that when the view is activated, so is zoom mode, and I need to go and change that mode if I want to orientate the model around. You can also see that as I move the model around, the description stays on the screen until I activate another view, and then it disappears. Now if I go back to the Properties dialog box, we can look at the next tab, which is called Query. This can be especially useful with large assemblies. And this area basically allows you to specify that parts which fit a certain profile should then do certain things when this view is activated, such as hide or select themselves or perhaps change material. So I'll create a simple example here. If I select New, then you have all of these different variables to specify which components you want to either filter in or filter out. So a simple example could be components using a certain material. If I select Node is using, I can set a certain material, for example the orange glass material of the main bottle. If I select Done Now, the system will ask me what I want to do with any components that fit my new profile. So looking at this list here, I can have a part selected or deselected, shown or hidden, and then moving down you can change the appearance in some way, like changing the material or some of the opacity values. So for this I'll simply hide this component. And you can imagine how helpful this would be on large assemblies, perhaps hiding all the nuts and bolts or small components in certain views, or leaving certain components selected when the view is activated so that the user knows that these parts need to be worked on. And then I'm going to go and set up another filter that will specify the lid name, and then once that's done I'll just leave this component selected when this view is activated. So let's test this model view. I'll go to my previous model view once again and then activate the new one. And as you can see there, the main bottle is hidden and the lid is left selected for me. So the final aspect of the Model View Properties dialog box is the tab called Metadata. Now metadata in model views can be helpful to store information as a whole, but where it becomes more helpful is actually within the individual components. And as the interface is the same for both, I'll show you some metadata within the parts themselves and how that information can be used. If I double click on the main bottle here, I can see I have a tab called Metadata with some existing data specified. So to specify more, I simply hit the plus icon and type a subject, and then with my subject highlighted I can specify what's called a key, and this key can be given a value or a name or some sort of identification. Then if I were to export this model to a 3D PDF, which is a very simple process, I can capture that metadata information within that PDF. Now I've designed this template to capture that metadata information specifically for this model, but we're going to run a tutorial in the future on how to create these templates, and it's a very simple process. You can see here that those categories of metadata can be seen here in my PDF file and used perhaps for suppliers or manufacturers to gain further information into this product. So that wraps up this particular tutorial on model views. I hope this has given you some more details on model views and how some of the advanced features can be used. If you would like to see some examples of work created in Deep Exploration, then please check out my profile, which can be found in the list of contributors on the Deep Exploration blog. My name is Guy Rounce. Thanks for watching this 9th tutorial in our series, and please let us know if there are any Deep Exploration subjects you would like to see covered in these videos in the future.